was thinking about the fact that worldview is supposed to impact all of life. So I really see all of my life as ministry, and I'm coming to see that more and more. Starting with my family, I have a wonderful wife of 20 years now, and we have 3 boys, the oldest of which will start high school next year. And so just to be their dad has just been such a blessing and privilege. At the same time, our extended family is going through some very difficult circumstances. I have one younger brother. He has terminal cancer, and he may die in the next 3 months. It's been so just a journey with him. He has 2 daughters, my nieces, who are 13 and 12. So I spent a considerable amount of time the last few months connecting with him and with his family, trying to encourage them, and I feel good about that. At the same time, my mom is severely mentally ill, and so we've been working through that the last year. My dad passed away 3 years ago, so I'm all of a sudden I'm the family patriarch now, and so I've been trying to figure out what that's all about. But we're making progress on that. So those have all been very good learning experiences and very rewarding ministry opportunities. Another thing I do is a little bit of writing. I love to write, and I have a blog called Church in the World, and it's weekly reflections on the Revised Common Lectionary with a lot of Christ and culture thrown in. And I usually just make one posting a week, and I try to read the weekly readings of the lectionary myself and really think through them, and then when God has really spoken about something to me, that's what I'll end up writing about in there. And I like to incorporate art in that too. I have just a love of fine art. We lived in Russia for a number of years and were able to do some traveling and see some different museums. So I usually will put some piece of art out there that has something to do with the topic. And actually, and I've thought to myself, I don't know if anybody actually reads this. But at the end of last year, I ran a report that you can do through Google Analytics to see who's reading this thing, and I discovered that I had readers in 121 countries, and I was just amazed.
Wow.
So one of which was from the Falkland Islands, and I thought that was especially exciting. I thought, I'm having an influence on the Falkland Islands without even knowing it. When we were missionaries in Russia, our ministry really focused on leadership development, and I'm still doing some of that over there on a volunteer basis. There's a small business development program called ICE, which stands for the Irkutsk Center for Entrepreneurship. It's in Irkutsk, Siberia, so ICE if you get it. And so I've continued with that, have a good relationship with the Russian guy. He has relationships with 60 different Russian small business people that he really just does mentoring with mostly. And we do some small to medium-sized loans also, but it's mostly just a mentoring ministry. I was over there 2 years ago, went to one of his monthly business club meetings, and this Russian guy who was a photographer came up to me and said, I was wondering if you could help me with something. I have clients that come in and like to dress up in different costumes, and I have one family that wants to be Formula One race car drivers. Do you know where I could get Formula One race car suits? And I said, have you ever heard of eBay? And he said, no. So I told him about eBay. He said, I'll try that. I said, I have no idea if it can work from here, but try that. So that was exciting. I also love to teach. I have done some teaching in our church in the past on worldview and other related topics. Because of the family situation, I haven't been doing that lately. But I still do have a couple of teaching outlets. One is at work. I'm working right now as a software analyst for an insurance company, Northwestern Mutual, great company. And we have a Monday prayer group where a few believers get together and we pray for each other and we pray for our unchurched colleagues as a way to try to have an influence within the company. And I often am able to lead a little devotional there, which I really enjoy. And it's just a nice way to challenge myself and challenge some of my colleagues. Another little quirky thing I do is there are 3 of us who have a little biblical Greek reading club, and we get together Sunday evenings and read biblical Greek over Skype together, and that's just a great source of input for me, and I enjoy doing that. And I wish we could get others to join us. I've been amazed. I've written to pastors at our church, and they say, "Oh, I don't have time for that." And I'm thinking something's wrong with us, but we'll just keep at it and see what we can do. Another thing that's really neat is I'm involved in some philanthropy. My father was a successful businessman, and God really blessed him the last few years of his life. And it was neat to see how his faith was growing at the same time. So he looked at his estate and he said, you know, I really want about 80% of my estate to go to charitable causes, and I want my boys to be advisors on how to do that. And so, you know, that's kind of all in process. We get all kinds of neat opportunities through that. That's been very exciting. Won't go into more details there. As a former missionary, I still am involved in a number of mission-related activities. I'm on the mission committee of our church, which is a large church in Milwaukee with a mission budget of, I think it's $2.3 million this year. So it's fun to be able to help with that. I lead something called the Russian Focus Group at our church, which does ministry to the Russian-speaking community both locally and internationally. For example, just 2 weeks ago, we had the dean of the Moscow seminary come in for a visit, and we're talking about ways that we can work together. That was exciting. And then I'm also on the board of advisors for a couple of other ministry organizations, one called the Harbor in St. Petersburg, Russia, which is a ministry to adolescents coming out of the Russian orphanage system, and they're trying to help them make the transition to adulthood. A lot of these kids end up dead by the time they're 25 because there's no one to help them, and so they're addressing that huge problem, and that's been an exciting thing. I'm also on the board of advisors for a leadership training program in Krasnodar, Russia, called the Biblical Leadership Training Center, and have enjoyed that as well. So that's what I'm doing now.